So Chapter 2 is learning about the human body and health and disease. Here are the chapter objectives that you can read those in your module. Here's a lot of them. We need to use words to describe where things are in the body, and so we use terms in regards to body planes, directions, which cavity or structure we are referring to. It helps us to all understand what or where we are focusing. Body parts that work together as a team with the same related function is called a body system. Anatomy is the study of the body structure or parts, and physiology is the study of the function. Anatomical position is very specific. It's the standard view with the body standing upright, facing forward, with the arms at the side and the palms facing forward. When we talk about any body plane or direction or side, we are always talking about it in regards to the body in the anatomical position. We use body planes to divide the body into sections so we can describe what we're talking about. Imagine a body in the anatomical position. Then draw a line straight down the middle that cuts the body in half from the top of the head to the toes. That is the vertical plane. There are 3 vertical planes. Sagittal, which divides the body top to bottom vertically in uneven portions. Then there's the mid-sagittal plane, which divides the body into equal halves, right and left. Then there is the frontal or the coronal plane that divides the front half of the body from the back half. A sagittal plane divides the body into 4, 3, 2, or 1 portions. 2, exactly. So the mid-sagittal plane equally divides the right and left halves of the body. The transverse plane divides the body into the upper, superior, and lower, inferior halves. The frontal or the coronal plane divides the body from the front half, anterior, to the back half, which is posterior. Body direction terms tell us the location of the subject we are talking about. Examples are all in your e-text. So think of these as opposite pairs, like an old married couple. Opposites attract, right? So ventral and dorsal refer to the front and the back, like the dorsal fin of a dolphin. Cephalic and caudal towards the head and towards the lower body. And anterior and posterior. Anterior front and posterior is back. And this is how it looks when we're pointing it out on the body in the anatomical position. So cephalic is towards the head, caudal is towards the feet, posterior is in the back, and anterior is in the front. Here are the body direction terms, some more old married couples. So superior is the uppermost or towards the head. Think of it as something superior that is elevated. Inferior is towards the feet or the lowest. Think of things that are beneath you, that are inferior. Proximal is the closest to you, and distal is farthest away, like distant. Medial is towards the midline, the middle, and lateral is towards the outside. These are all little tricks to help you remember. And this is how it looks on the anatomical body. Proximal, closest to you. Distal is distant. Medial is in the middle, and lateral is towards the outside. Which body direction refers to the back of the organ or body? Dorsal, in the back, like the dorsal fin. There are two major body cavities, the dorsal, remember dorsal fin, and ventral, the front. They are the spaces that hold and protect the organs. The dorsal cavity is in the back from the head to the body, and it contains the nervous system. It's divided into two smaller cavities, the cranial cavity within the skull that protects the brain, and the spinal cavity that's located where the spine is and protects the spinal cord. The ventral cavity is in the front and has all the other organs. It's divided into several smaller cavities as well. Thoracic, which is the chest, also known as the thorax. Abdominal cavity that holds the organs of digestion. And the thoracic and abdominal cavities are divided by the diaphragm. The pelvic cavity is formed by the hip bones and has the reproductive and urinary organs. This is a visual of the location of these body cavities. Thoracic, chest. Here's the diaphragm that separates the thoracic from the abdominal cavity. That's the abdominal cavity. And down here, here's the hips. And there is the pelvic cavity, the cranial cavity, and the spinal cavity that make up the dorsal cavity. The thoracic, the diaphragm, or the abdominal or the pelvic cavity is the space formed by the hip bones that contains the major organs of reproductive and excretory systems. Pelvic, exactly. I think reproductive organs, where are they? In your pelvis. So when you look at somebody's body in the anatomical position, imagine drawing a tic-tac-toe board on it. Each one of those 9 squares of that tic-tac-toe board is an area of the chest or thoracic or abdomen that helps to describe location. The right and left hypochondriac region, so hypo is below and chondro is ribs, so it's below the ribs where they start, so right and left. Epigastric means above, gastra is stomach, and ic is pertaining to, so pertaining to above the stomach. The right and left lumbar regions are the regions near the inward curve of the spine. The umbilical region, that's the belly button. And the right and left iliac regions are the right and left hip. And you can think of that if you think of iliac, which is part of the pelvic bones. And the hypogastric region. Hypo is below, gastra is stomach, and ic is pertaining to. So pertaining to below the stomach. See how much you've learned already. Regions of the thorax and abdomen divide the head and shoulders, the knees and elbows, the abdomen and upper, or the abdomen and lower parts of the thorax into 9 parts. The abdomen and lower. Visualize that tic-tac-toe board diagram we just looked at. The abdomen is divided into 4 quadrants when we're talking about location. There is the right upper quadrant, the left upper quadrant, the right lower quadrant, and the left lower quadrant. The peritoneum is made up of the parietal peritoneum, which is the outer layer that covers the inner abdominal wall. The mesentery, that's a double layered lining of the parietal peritoneum that attaches to the intestine and the inner abdominal wall. There's the visceral peritoneum that surrounds the organs in the abdominal cavity. Associated terms are retroperitoneal, retro is behind the peritoneum, or peritonitis, which is the inflammation of the peritoneum. So the root is perit, O is the combining form, and itis is inflammation, so inflammation of the peritoneum. For those of you Sesame Street aficionados or moms of young children, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Left posterior quadrant. Don't forget about the 4 quadrants of the abdomen. The smallest structures to combine to form larger structures that in turn work together to perform a function. Cells make up tissues that make up organs that together create systems. The human body had 4 structural levels. Which of the following is considered a structural level? Well, these are all planes, remember? So is that a structural level? No. Of course it's organs. A type of cell is a stem cell. These guys can renew themselves and, given the right environment, can become a cell with a specialized function. Adult stem cells are also called somatic cells. These are undifferentiated cells that have no special function, and specialized cells that have a special function. They can be found together. Embryonic stem cells are undifferentiated. They can become any type of adult cell. They grow rapidly in a lab environment and could potentially be the source of organs. An embryonic, collected in the first 9 weeks of life, stem cell does not require a match. It's harvested from the umbilical cord at the time of birth or from unused embryos created during IVF. Stem cell therapy is used to heal injuries and treat disease. For stem cell therapy, these cells are taken from the bone marrow, either the patient's own or donated from someone else. If there's not a good match, there can be additional problems after the transplant known as graft versus host disease. So the material within the cell membrane that is not part of the nucleus is called cytoplasm. Genes. We all have genes. We receive one set from each biological mother and father. A dominant gene can either be from either parent and will express itself in that offspring. Dominance can be something that we think of like freckles, or it can be a devastating genetic disease like Huntington's disease. Think dominant, like it's dominant. It's going to express itself pushing the other genes out of the way. Offspring may have recessive genes and will not express itself in the offspring. That gene takes a back seat. If that offspring only has one of the genes, that offspring will not have that trait or disease, but will be a carrier, potentially giving that genetic trait to their offspring. The human genome is our genetic map. The first complete mapping was in 2003. There has been so much research that has been done and is still ongoing. Chromosomes are structures in the cell nucleus and are made up of DNA that contain our genes. A somatic cell is any cell in the body except the sex cells, or gametes. They contain 46 chromosomes arranged in 23 pairs. 22 of those pairs are identical. That last pair is either XX for female or XY for males. Gametes only have 23 so that they can pair with other gametes to create a whole cell with information from both sex cells. So an egg has 23 and the sperm has 23, and they join together to start that embryo with 46 chromosomes. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, and it's the building block of the chromosome. It carries the body's genetic information. It tells us about the physical appearance, disease risks, and other traits. 2 spiraling strands twist together to form a double helix. No 2 patterns are the same except in the case of identical twins because they came from the same cell. A mutation is a change in the sequencing of the DNA molecule. A somatic cell mutation is a change in the cell within the body. A gametic cell mutation is a change in the genes of one of the sex cells. And genetic engineering is manipulation of genes for scientific or medical purposes. Genetic disorders are caused by an absence or defective or additional gene, like cystic fibrosis or Down syndrome. What's the genetic structure located within the nucleus of each cell? A chromosome. Tissue is a group of similar cells that join together to perform a function. Histology is the study of tissue. A histologist is a specialist who studies the tissue. There are four main types of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nerve. Epithelial tissue protects the internal and external surfaces on the body and also forms glands. The epithelial cells form the epidermis of the skin and the surface of mucous membranes. Endothelium is specialized epithelial tissues that line the blood and lymph system, also the body cavity, glands, and organs. Connective tissue supports and connects other tissues together, thus the name. There are four kinds: dense, that form joints and body frame; adipose or fat, that provides padding, insulation, and support; loose, that holds the organs in place; and fluid like blood and lymph, that transports products throughout the body. Muscle tissue has the ability to contract and relax. Nerve tissue is reactive to stimuli and can conduct electrical impulses. There are disorders of the tissue which most have unknown causes and can occur at any point in the lifespan. These include aplasia and hypoplasia. For muscle tissue disorders, anaplasia is a change in the structure and arrangements of the cells. Dysplasia is abnormal development of the cells. Hyperplasia is an increased number of the cells. And hypertrophy is an increase in the size of the part or organ due to increase in the size of the cells. Which tissue contains cells with the ability to contract and relax? Muscle! Glands are a special group of epithelial cells that can secrete things. There are exocrine glands that secrete substances into ducts, then lead into other organs or out of the body. Endocrine glands produce hormones and don't have ducts. So the root word aden is gland. Examples of disorders that have to do with glands are adenitis, itis, inflammation of the gland. Adenocarcinoma is cancer of the gland. Adenoma is a benign tumor in the epithelial tissue of the gland. And adenosis is any disease of the gland. Which of these is a malignant tumor that originates in the gland? Adenocarcinoma. Organs are a collection of tissue cells that perform a specific function. A collection of organs that perform a specific function is a system. There's a list of body systems here, also in Table 2.1 of your e-text. Which system involves the heart and arteries? Cardiovascular, of course. Pathology is the study of disease and also the condition produced by disease. A pathologist is a doctor that specializes in the lab analysis of diseased tissue samples to help establish a diagnosis. Etiology is the study of the causes of disease. In the clinic setting, you'll also hear this used in the same way as the cause of disease, such as etiology of the disease. Disease transmission terms are things like pathogen, which is a disease-producing microorganism like a virus or a bacteria. A communicable disease is any disease that can be transmitted from person to person. Types of transmission are direct, human-to-human contact or exchange of body fluids, blood-borne via exposure to infected blood or body fluids. The fluid has to enter the bloodstream in order to cause the infection, like HIV or hepatitis. Droplet infections are infections via respiratory droplets like coughing or sneezing. Indirect contact is contact via touching a contaminated surface. That's why you always wash your hands. Airborne, the pathogens are in the air. That's like COVID or the chickenpox. Food and waterborne, self-explanatory. And vector-borne are through insect bites like the West Nile virus or Lyme's disease. An epidemiologist is a specialist who studies outbreaks of diseases. They've been really busy in the last few years. Endemic is an ongoing infection, which is what we are in with COVID. Epidemic is a sudden outbreak of disease within a specific population or area. And pandemic is an outbreak occurring over a large geographic area, likely worldwide. And if you didn't already know those definitions, I wonder where you have been. Which term is a sudden, widespread outbreak of a disease within a specific population group or area? Epidemic. Types of diseases are organic, that produce physical changes in the body, like chickenpox. Functional, that produces symptoms that cannot be related to a disease, i.e. chronic fatigue syndrome. Iatrogenic is a condition that occurs as a result of medical treatment, like burns with radiation therapy. Idiopathic is a disease without a known cause. Infectious is caused by a pathogen. And nosocomial is an infection that you require while in the hospital, like MRSA. Syndromes are a group of symptoms that occur commonly together as part of a disease, like Down syndrome. Also, metabolic syndrome is very common in the US and is associated with diabetes, cholesterol issues that lead to cardiovascular disease. Congenital disorders are conditions that exist at the time of birth, and developmental disorders are conditions that occur prior to birth. The occurrence of these disorders are affected by prenatal risk factors, premature birth and injuries during the birth process. What is an abnormal condition that exists at the time of birth? Congenital. Healthcare professionals, what most of you will become in some way, shape, or form. I think you already know the names of the most common ones. More examples of healthcare professionals. Here's a list of word parts important for this chapter. Enter, O, before. Exo, out, or outside, or away from. Histo, tissue. Ology is the science or the study of, and postero is behind or towards the back. And here's some tricky words to spell and say. Let's see if I can do it. Caudal, atresia, dysplasia, mesentery, peritoneum. Here's some abbreviations that are also listed in your e-text in Table 2.2. Who is a doctor specializing in intensive care unit patients? Hint, intensive patients. Intensivist, you guys are so smart.